So we can begin by coming to stand at the top of your mat, feet together, palms together in front of the chest, and begin breathing. Long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. Feel a sense of the spine lengthening with the inhale, and as you exhale, feel the feet rooting down into the ground. On the next in-breath, the hands float up, gaze forwards, and bending the knees, folding forwards for the whole of the out-breath with knees bent. Next in-breath, hips lifting, and out-breathing, completely relaxing the neck. Hands can be as far down the legs as you need to. With the following in-breath, knees bending as much as you need to, and on the out-breath, hands to the floor. So weight dropping down through the left foot. So the right foot becomes light. Next in-breath, right foot floats up, steps back on the out-breath. End of the out-breath, toes landing lightly, and gaze towards front big toe. You can feel a sense of lengthening through the underneath of the body, with the front knee and the back heel lengthening away from each other. So next, full breath to step back into downward dog. End of the out breath, arriving into position, feet hip distance apart. Remember to bend the knees if you feel you need to soften, or bring the knees to the floor, coming into cat position. If you feel you need to be more active, the hips can lift higher, heels lengthening away from the hips down towards the floor. So next in-breath, knees come down to the floor. Remember, there's a sense of leaning back into the heels as you do this. Out-breath, feet flat. And then the whole of the in-breath, body sweeps through. And the whole of the out-breath, keeping the gaze down towards the ground, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. End of the out-breath, gaze is the last thing to lift. Next in-breath, chest lifting directly up from the ground. And out-breath, relaxing the neck. So following breath, curling the toes under, hips lifting up and back into downward dog. Feel free to adjust the distance between the hands and the feet as you need to. Neck completely relaxed, gaze coming towards the legs. And following breath, smoothly stepping up with the right foot. So we can do this in one straight step, or if you prefer, you can bring the knees to the ground first, move the hands to the side and step up with the right foot. Adjusting the hands back so the fingers are in line with the toes and the back foot back the same distance. With the next out breath, the back foot flattens at a slight angle, keeping a bend in the front knee. Take the full length of the next breath to smoothly rise up into warrior. So either taking the arms wide or up through the center. Again, the gaze is the last thing to lift upwards. Feeling of lifting and lengthening through the sides of the body and the lower back. If you feel you need to be more active, the front knee can bend deeper, taking the hips lower. Next, in breath, take the gaze forwards, lift up the back heel, smoothly stepping up with the back foot, and the whole of the out breath, hands down in front of the chest. You need to move up to the top of the mat. You can do this mindfully, making it part of the sequence. And next, in breath, hands float up and gaze forwards. And bending the knees, folding forwards with knees bent for the whole of the out breath. Following in breath, hips lifting, and out breath, relax the neck. Taking the hands as far down the legs as you need to. Neck completely relaxed, so gaze is coming in towards body. Following breath, knees bend, hands down to the floor, Weight is dropping down through the right foot, so the left foot becomes light. Next in-breath, lifting the left foot, out-breath, foot floats out behind. End of the out-breath, toes landing lightly and gaze towards front big toe. With that long lengthened feeling underneath the body, and at the same time lifting and lengthening through the arms so it feels as though the chest is lifting up from the ground. So next breath, smoothly stepping back into downward dog. Remember there is the option to move the hands to the side with the knees to the floor as well. Sense of the hips lifting on the in-breath and rooting down through the heels on the out-breath. Following in-breath, knees smoothly down to the ground. And out-breath, feet flat. Whole of the next in-breath, body flows through. Remember to move the hands if you need to. And keeping the gaze down, whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. End of the out-breath, gaze lifting. Just taking care not to overextend the neck. Following in-breath, chest lifting directly up from the floor, so the space created between the shoulders and the ears. So next breath begins, curl the toes under, then start to lift the hips up and back, arriving into downward dog at the end of your out-breath. And from here, smoothly stepping up with the left foot. So taking a knee up towards the chest, out breath, foot lands exactly where it needs to. Adjusting the hands back and the back foot back the same distance. And the following out breath, back foot flattens at a slight angle, keeping a bend in the front knee. Then as the next breath begins, start to rise up into warrior, taking a full in and out breath. So end of the out breath, hands together, gaze lifting. If you feel you need to activate or engage, you can take a slightly deeper bend in the front knee, dropping the hips down lower, just taking care that the front knee doesn't go over the ankle. Lifting and lengthening through the sides of the body, through the lower back. And on the in-breath, gaze forwards, lift the back heel and step up with the back foot. Take as many steps as you need to bring the feet together. And the out-breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. Moving with the breath if you feel you need to step to the top of the mat. So next breath, hands separate, arms sweep around the body and can take them into reverse prayer or take the hands onto the opposite forearms. Keeping the gaze forward on the in-breath, lengthen through the spine, and bending the knees, folding forward for the whole of the out-breath. Next in-breath, hips lifting as high as you need to, and out-breath, relaxing the neck. Keeping the focus with the breath. Remember, it's fine if the mind's wandering. We just take any importance away from the distraction and bring the focus back to how it feels in the posture, back to the breath. So next breath, hands smoothly down the back of the body and down the back of the legs. Interlace the fingers and turn the palms away. And following breath, hands separate. Knees bend, hands down to the floor, and smoothly stepping back with the right foot. One full breath here before stepping back into downward dog. And taking the full length of the in-breath, smoothly knees down to the floor, and out-breath, feet flat. Full length of the next in-breath to sweep the body through. Keeping the gaze down towards the ground, whole of the out breath rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze is the last thing to lift. Remember, we're actively letting go of any sense of how far it looks like we've gone, and instead bringing the focus to how it feels in the position, finding your individual point of stretch, recognizing that this is where you'll experience the maximum health benefits. Next breath, curling toes under, lifting hips smoothly up and back. If you prefer, you can come to hands and knees first and then into downward dog. So gazes towards the legs. And take the next full breath to raise the right leg up behind. Now taking the gaze towards the opposite big toe. Fine to have knees down version as well. Remember, the only difference here is that the leg comes directly out behind rather than raising higher than the hips. Next breath, smoothly stepping up the right foot. Adjusting the hands back so the fingers are in line with the toes. Taking the back foot back the same distance. Then the full length of the next breath to step up with the back foot. So end of the out breath. Feet together, hips can drop down as low as you need to, coming into a low squat, but keeping the soles of the feet in contact with the ground, so the heels and the balls of the feet in contact with the ground. Hands can be beside the feet, or if you prefer, you can outstretch the arms, bringing the palms together, keeping the gaze in towards the body. So next breath, the chest curls forwards and upwards, the hips keep sinking down, hands can move up through the center, lifting the gaze last of all. So here the knees can be as deeply bent as you need to, having the hips as high or as low as you need to, finding your individual point of stretch here. And the focus is on the chest curling up and away from the knees. So even if legs are completely straight, we still have this sense of the chest curling up and away from the knees. Next in-breath, legs straighten, lift the hands, lift the gaze, then whole of the out-breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. Stepping up to the top of the mat with the breath, keeping the hands together in front of the chest. So next breath, hands separate and sweep behind the body. You can hold on to the opposite forearms or bring the hands into reverse prayer, keeping the gaze forwards. In-breath, lengthen through the spine, and soften the knees, whole of the out-breath, folding forwards with knees bent. Next, in-breath, hips lifting, and out-breath, relaxing the neck. Taking the next full breath, hands slide down the back of the body, down the back of the legs, end of the out-breath, interlace the fingers and turn the palms away. And following breath, hands separate, knees bend, and the out-breath, hands down to the floor. Taking the next full breath to smoothly step back with the left foot. Remember, we have the intention of smooth movement, taking the full length of the breath to move from one position to the next. One full breath once here, and the next full breath to step back into downward dog. Although it seems the body is static, we want a sense of the body being very alive, so we feel free to make any subtle adjustments that you need to. Have a sense of hips lifting up towards the ceiling on the in-breath, of heels rooting down towards the ground on the out-breath. And next in-breath, knees smoothly down to the ground, out-breath, feet flat. Whole of the in-breath, body flows through. And whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze lifting. Next breath to lift the chest directly up from the ground. As the following breath begins, curling the toes under, begin to lift the hips up and back, taking the full length of the breath, so at the end of the out breath arriving into downward dog. If you prefer, you can take 2 breaths, a breath to hands and knees, and the next breath coming into downward dog. From here, left leg raises up behind, bottom heel sinking. Gazes towards the bottom toe. A sense of lengthening out through the left leg, keeping the hips level. And following breath, either from here, stepping up with the left foot. If you prefer, you can come to hands and knees first of all, moving the hands to the side. Bringing the fingertips in line with the toes, adjusting the back foot back the same distance. On the out breath, back foot steps up, hips sinking down, keeping the heels and toes in contact with the floor, coming into a low squat. Hands can be beside the feet or extended out in front with the palms together. Gaze is in towards the body. And with the next breath, the chest begins to move forwards and up. Hands lift up through the center, gaze lifting, so the hips can be as high or as low as you need them to be. And we have that sense of the chest curling up and away from the knees. Feel free to soften or activate and engage as you need to. Next, in-breath, legs straighten, lift the hands, lift the gaze, and whole of the out-breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. Taking as many breaths as you need to come to the top of the mat. So next breath, lean to the left, breathing out, feel the left foot rotate. Following in-breath, taking a step back with the right foot. And on the out-breath, turning the body to the side. If you feel you need to adjust the feet, you can do this as part of the practice with the breath. Keep the hands together in front of the chest. So following breath, the hands separate, arms float down, and on the out breath, lifting the arms up in line with the shoulders and turning the left toes to the front of your mat. Taking the gaze down to the tips of the left finger. So a breath to lean out to the left hand side, tilting the pelvis. And the following breath, left hand floats down as right arm floats up. The gaze follows the left hand until it comes into contact with the legs. Then you're fine to keep the gaze down towards the ground, or you can take a breath to lift the gaze upwards. Sense that the crown of the head is lengthening away from the back foot. And with the next breath, the top arm reaches over another 90 degrees or so. Still with this sideways facing feeling. If it feels as though the chest or the abdomen is starting to turn towards the ground, then you can raise the left hand up the leg slightly. So we've got this sideways facing feeling. So from here, on the in-breath, bend the left knee. On the out-breath, feel the left foot strongly rooted. Keep the breath flowing here. And then take the next full breath to smoothly come back to upright. So on the in-breath, coming to upright. On the out-breath, hands lifting up through the center, palms together in front of the chest and toes turning forwards. If you need to adjust the feet, then make this part of the practice, moving with the breath. Next breath, hands float down on the in-breath. On the out-breath, lifting the arms up in line with the shoulders, turning the right toe to the back of your mat, taking the gaze towards the tips of the right finger. The breath to lengthen out through the fingertips, and the next breath leaning out to the right hand side. Following breath, right hand floats down as the back hand lifts up. Gaze follows the right hand until it comes into contact with the leg. Fine to keep the gaze down towards the ground, or you can take a breath to lift the gaze to the top thumb. in the continuous flow of breath. Remember, it's fine if you notice the mind wandering, whether that's from external distractions or internal thoughts or sensations. Simply let go of any importance from the distractions. Bring the focus back to the breath, back to the practice. Taking the next full breath, top arm comes over another 90 degrees or so. A feeling of lengthening out through the crown of the head, still with this sideways facing feeling in the upper body. And from here on the in-breath, bend the knee, out-breath, feel the foot strongly rooted. Keep the breath flowing here. Then next full breath, smoothly come to upright. Hands float down on the out-breath, hands lift up through the center, palms together and toes turning forward. So next breath, turning the toes out 45 degrees or so, and then taking the heels to join. So we're widening the feet, hip distance or so apart. On the in-breath, turning the left toes to the front of the mat and taking a bend on the left knee on the out-breath. Keep the torso facing forwards. So following breath, the hands separate, left forearm onto the thigh, opposite arm reaching over, still with this sideways facing feeling. And with the feeling that the crown of the head is lengthening away from the outside edge of the back foot, and the top fingers are simply pointing in the direction that the crown of the head is lengthening into. As the next breath begins, leading with the top elbow turned down towards the ground. On the out breath, hands to the floor either side of the foot, adjusting the back foot in. So you can step the back foot forward if you need to. Just have the right distance so that you can flatten the back foot. Feel strong contact between the outside edge of the back foot and the ground. And then taking the left hand onto the outside of the front knee. Crossing the opposite elbow over. Then reaching out with the left arm. Wrapping it around the body and lifting the left shoulder so the chest opens to the sides. Staying focused with the breath. And following breath, turning back towards the ground, take the hands either side of the front foot, lift the back heel, and the next full breath to smoothly step back into downward dog. On the in-breath, knees smoothly down to the floor. Out-breath, feet flat. All of the in-breath, body flows through, remembering to slide the hands forward if you need to. And the whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze lifting at the end of the out-breath. And curling the toes under, either a breath to hands and knees, then smoothly back into downward dog, or one full breath to come into downward dog. And from here, smoothly stepping up with the left foot. Remember, we're actively letting go of any sense of how far we want that foot to come. Instead, just allowing it to land where it needs to, adjusting the hands back and the back foot back the same distance. On the out breath, flatten the back foot at a slight angle, so strong contact between the outside edge of the back foot and the ground, keeping a bend in the front knee. And the following full breath to rise up into warrior. So remember that intention of smooth movement, end of the out breath, hands together, gaze lifting. With the next breath, begin to circle the arms. So left arm coming forward as right arm comes back. Keep the gaze fixed on the front fingers. If you feel you need to adjust the back foot, then you can do so, but keep the gaze facing forwards. We're building awareness of the parts that we can't see, lengthening out through the fingertips. And the next full breath to straighten the front leg. And following breath, the back hand floats down as the front arm lifts up, taking the back hand into contact with the leg, as if you're making a big arc from the tips of the front toes to the tips of the top fingers. Finding your individual point of stretch here. And the following breath, body comes to upright, arms float down, hands lift up through the center on the out breath and toes turning forwards. So if you need to adjust the distance between the feet, that's fine, just make this part of the sequence. Following in-breath, right toes turn to the back. On the out-breath, bending the right knee. So next breath, keeping legs as they are, hands separate. So right forearm onto the thigh and the opposite arm lengthening over. Strong contact between the outside edge of the back foot and the mat, and a feeling that the crown of the head is lengthening away from the outside edge of the back foot. Keeping this sideways facing feeling in the torso. And next breath, leading with the top elbow, turning down towards the floor. On the out breath, taking the hands either side of the front foot. And turning the back foot in slightly. So remember, you can adjust the distance between the feet if you need to. We want to feel a strong connection between the outside edge of the back foot and the ground. Once you have that, take the right hand to the outside of the right knee and crossing the opposite elbow over. And next breath, reaching out with the right arm, wrapping it around the body. As you do so, right shoulder lifting, opening the chest to the sides, and the gaze is the last thing to come up towards the ceiling. Make sure that the front foot is firmly rooted, so inside and outside edge, equal contact with the ground. If you feel a bit wobbly, remember you can adjust the front foot, bringing it to the outside edge of your mat. Next breath, turning back towards the ground, taking the hands either side of the front foot, lifting the back heel, and the following breath to smoothly step back into downward dog. In breath, knees to the floor. A feeling as if you're leaning back into the heels as you do this. On the out breath, feet flat. Whole of the next in breath, body flows through. Whole of the out breath, rooting down through the hands or forearms. Gaze lifting at the end of the out breath. So if you're on the forearms, the gaze can be directly forwards. If you come up onto the hands, then you can lift the gaze just slightly higher. Want to take care that we're not overextending on the back of the neck. And curling the toes under. Either a breath to hands and knees, then a second breath to downward dog, or just one complete breath coming into downward dog. Choosing the variation which works for you. And then stepping up with the right foot. Adjusting the hands so the fingers are in line with the toes and the back foot back the same distance. On the out breath, flatten the back foot. As the next breath begins, body starts to lift up. You can either take the arms wide or up through the center. End of the out breath, arriving into warrior, palms together, gaze lifting. the following breath, begin to circle the arms. So right arm comes forward, left arm goes back. Keep the gaze fixed towards the front fingertips. Lengthening out through the fingertips. If you need to adjust the back foot, you can adjust the foot so that the big toe moves to roughly where the little toe was, but keep the gaze facing forwards the whole time. So we want to have this feeling that the fingertips are lengthening away from each other. Take the next full breath to straighten the front leg, and the following breath, the back hand can float down as the front arm lifts up. Make sure there's firm contact between the back hand and the leg. Gaze is lifting upwards, and we have this sense of making a wide arc from the tips of the front toes right the way up to the tips of the fingers. On the in-breath, torso straightens up, hands float down. On the out-breath, lift the hands up through the center, palms together and toes facing forwards. So if you need to adjust the feet, then make this part of the sequence, moving with the breath, still keeping the feet wide. So next breath, hands separate, float round behind, interlace the fingers, lengthen and lifting the arms away from the body. On the in-breath, lengthen through the spine and bending the knees, folding forwards for the whole of the out-breath. Following in-breath, hips lifting, and out-breath, gazing directly down towards the ground. So we're finding our individual point of stretch here in the forward bend. At the same time, the arms are engaged. So the arms are lengthening first of all, then lifting away from the body, keeping the gaze towards the floor. So we want to feel as though we're lengthening through the throat rather than having the chin tucked in towards the body. Next in-breath, knees bend, and on the out-breath, feel the feet rotate. Keep the breath flowing here. Then take the following full breath to slowly come to upright. So keeping the gaze down towards the ground. Just at the end of the out-breath, gaze is coming forward. Keeping the arms active, so arms keep lengthening and lifting. Continuous flow of breath. And then next breath, releasing the hands. So keeping the breath flowing, whichever way is easiest, come down to a seated position onto the floor. Hands can be beside the hips, legs straight out in front. Actively lengthening through the spine. On the in-breath, take a bend in the right knee. Take a hold of the leg and lift the right hip up so you open the knee out to the side. As you do so, the torso will angle out to the side slightly. Keep the opposite leg lengthened and engaged. Hands come together in front of the chest. So next breath, left forearm comes onto the thigh as the opposite arm circles over. If you feel you need to be more active, you can take the left elbow onto the inside of the left leg. We want to feel as though both hips are still in contact with the ground. So if it feels like the right hip is lifting, you can soften slightly. A sense of rooting down through the hips. Taking the next full breath, smoothly coming to upright, hands down by the sides of the hips, and the following breath to lengthen out through the left leg. Through the right leg, sorry. Next breath, taking a bend in the left knee, take a hold of the leg, lift the left hip from the ground and open the knee out to the side. Hands come together in front of the chest. So actively lengthen through the spine, and following breath, right forearm onto the thigh, or you can take the elbow down to the floor and opposite arm reaching over. Staying focused with the breath. And the next full breath, smoothly come to upright. Hands come down by the sides of the hips. And the next breath, straighten the legs out. So following breath, bring the soles of the feet together, heels towards the body, knees out to the side. You can take the hands onto the feet and take a breath to open the feet out first of all, and the following breath to lengthen through the spine. So it doesn't matter if the spine doesn't feel completely straight. We don't want to compromise the opening of the feet in order to feel straightness in the spine. So the feet open out first of all, and then lengthening as much as you can through the spine, finding your individual point of stretch here. And with the following breath, folding forwards, relaxing the neck. Taking the next full breath to come to sit upright. And taking the hands beside the hips. Then leaning the hands back slightly. Lifting through the chest. On the in-breath, the knees can float together. And on the out-breath, feet begin to lighten. So the feet can lighten and still stay in contact with the ground, or the feet can lift. So the gaze is coming in line with the toes. If you feel the weight is naturally coming out of the hands, you can bring the arms down by the sides. Fingertips lengthening out towards the feet. If you feel you need to activate more to find your point of stretch, you can begin to lift the shins, keeping the gaze towards the toes. In whichever variation you choose, always have a sense that the chest is lifting. The following breath, hands down to the floor, feet down to the floor. You can lengthen the legs out, taking the feet straight out in front of you, hands beside the hips. Then hands together in front of the chest. On the in-breath, lifting the hands and gaze forwards. And the whole of the out-breath, folding forwards, keeping the gaze straight ahead for as long as you can. Just at the end of the out-breath, gaze turning towards the legs. Hands can be resting as far down the legs as you need to, or around the sides of the feet. Remember, you're actively letting go of any sense of how far it looks like you've gone. Instead, building awareness of how it feels, finding your individual point of stretch here. Keeping body as it is, take the next breath to bring the hands onto the floor beside the legs. And the following full breath, smoothly come to upright. Hands by the sides of the hips and actively lengthening through the spine. So keeping the breath flowing, from here, move on to all fours, so come on to hands and knees. And curling the toes under, take a full breath to lift the hips smoothly up and back, coming into downward dog. So neck is relaxed. Hands rooting down. And keeping the hands strong, take the left knee in towards the body and then down behind the hands. Top of the back foot resting onto the floor, lengthen out through the back leg. So we're coming into pigeon pose, lengthening out through the back leg. So hands still strong. And then coming down onto the forearms, either resting the forehead onto the floor, or if you prefer, resting it onto the hands. So we want to feel as though the hips are level. Making any adjustments that you need to. Staying focused with the breath. If you feel you need to be more active, you can take the front foot up towards the hands. If you feel you need to soften, take the front heel underneath the groin. So next breath, take the hands next to the front knee. Keep the elbows tucked in tight, forehead down to the ground. So lifting the forehead, keep the chin down low towards the floor, curl the back toes under, and the following breath, pushing into the back toes and the hands, hips lift up, knees stays close towards the chest, and smoothly stepping back into downward dog. Taking one full breath here, and keeping the hands strong. Next breath, right knee comes in towards the body, then down behind the hands, back knee to the floor, top of the back foot onto the ground, lengthening out through the back leg, keeping the arms strong, coming into pigeon pose on the opposite side. A breath to come down onto the forearms, either resting the forehead to the ground or onto the hands if you prefer. You feel you need to be more active, more engaged to find your point of stretch, you can take the front foot up towards the arms. If you feel you need to soften, then take the heel back towards the groin. Finding your individual point of stretch here. And then taking the hands either side of the front knee, elbows close into the sides of the body. Keeping the head down towards the ground, so forehead lifts, keeping the chin low, then curling the back toes under. Next, full breath, pressing into the back foot and the hands, lifting the hips up and back, keeping the knee in close towards the chest, and moving into downward dog. So in breath, knees down to the ground, and out breath, sit back towards the heels, feet flat. Can rest the forehead onto the ground, keeping the arms outstretched, but allowing the elbows to rest onto the floor. So following breath, walking the hands forward slightly so the hips begin to lift away from the heels. Then next breath, body starts to flow through for the whole of the in-breath, and on the out-breath, rooting down through the hands or the forearms, coming into upward dog. Curling the toes under, lifting the hips up and back, coming into downward dog. So in breath, knees smoothly down to the ground. Out breath, feet flat. Sit back towards the heels, rest the forehead down to the ground. And take the hands to rest down by the sides of the feet this time. And then taking the arms forward, coming on to hands and knees. And we'll begin to move through cat sequence. So as the next in-breath begins, leading with the upper back, begin to arch through the spine, taking the full length of the breath, so full in and out breath to arch through the spine, gaze in towards the body. One full breath in this position, then the next breath to come to the opposite direction, so belly drops, chest opens, gaze can lift. One full breath in position, and the next breath to change. So we're taking a full in and out breath to come into position. One full breath once there. Next full breath to change. Keep flowing with the breath. Allowing the breath to guide the movements of the body. Having the intention of the movement being very smooth. So remember, it's the intention that's the important part here. It doesn't matter at all how the movement actually physically appears. Just that we have this intention of the movement being smooth, following the rhythm of the breath. And remember, it's fine as well whenever you notice that the mind is wandering. Just take importance away from the distractions, bringing the focus back. With the next breath, bring the spine back to a neutral position. And then sitting back towards the heels, forehead can rest onto the ground. Take the hands to rest by the sides of the feet. Keeping the breath flowing here. Continuous flow of long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. And with the next breath, smoothly coming to sit upright. Lengthening through the spine. Tucking the chin in slightly. And now we can prepare for relaxation. So coming to lie down onto your mat, taking the time first of all to put on any warm items of clothing, or collect a blanket if you need one. Settling into a comfortable position. The legs can be outstretched, taking them wider than the hips with the toes rolling out to the side. Or if you prefer, you can have a bend in the knees or have a cushion or blanket supporting the knees. Arms down by the sides of the body with the palms turned upwards. And have the arms a comfortable distance from the body, enabling you to relax through the shoulders. Tucking in the chin slightly so you can feel length through the back of the neck. And when you're ready, you can allow your eyes to close. Letting go of any effort now with the breath, so no control over the breath. Bringing focus to the breath. Simply watching the breath as it moves in and out the body. Bringing your awareness to the out breath. And as you breathe out, feel whole body relax. Feeling whole body relax on the out breath. If it's helpful, you can imagine a breathing down through the body on the out breath. Feeling whole body relax just that little bit more. Be aware of the ground solid and secure beneath you, holding and supporting you. And in a moment when your awareness travels through the different parts of your body, you can imagine each part softening, perhaps touched by the glow of a soft golden light. Beginning with the right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, side, waist, right hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole, top of the foot, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Moving to left hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, side, waist, left hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole, top of the foot, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. Becoming aware now of the right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade, right buttock, left buttock, small of the back, middle of the back, the upper back, the length of the spine, the back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head, forehead, right temple, left temple, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, the space between the eyebrows, right eyelid, left eyelid, right eye, left eye, right cheek, left cheek, right nostril, left nostril, the tip of the nose, the upper lip, the lower lip, the jaw, the tongue, the chin, throat, right collarbone, left collarbone, space between the collarbones, the right side of the chest, the left side of the chest, the middle of the chest, the navel, the abdomen, the groin, the whole of the right leg, the whole of the left leg, and both legs together. The whole of the right arm, the whole of the left arm, and both arms together. The whole of the front, chest, navel, and abdomen. The whole of the back, shoulder blades and buttocks. The whole of the back and front together. The whole of the head. The whole body together. Whole body together. The whole body together. The whole body bathed in a soft golden glow. Now imagine, if you will, a sensation of heaviness in the body. Comforting sense of heavy, solid body, cradled by the floor beneath you. And then letting go of this, bring about now, if you will, a sensation of lightness in the body. Sensation of body lighter and lighter, as if it could float above the ground. And then letting go of this, imagine what it might be like now to experience both these sensations together. Curious sensation of both these feelings together. And now letting go of this, bringing your awareness to the chest. Imagine a soft golden light in the chest. The light's beginning to expand through the body, filling the whole body with a soft golden glow. Each and every cell of the body vibrating healthily, mind calm and clear. And bringing awareness back to your breath. Watching the breath as it moves in and out the body. Allowing your awareness to rest on the abdomen, watching the rise and fall of the body with the breath. So you can rest here for as long as you need to. Only when you feel ready, keeping your eyes closed and turning to lie on your side. Gently opening your eyes And coming to an easy seated position when you feel ready. Practice is now complete.